My fiancé's coworker messaged me. You deserve to know she's not being faithful. I replied, appreciate the honesty. The next evening I came home earlier than planned. When I opened the door and saw who was sitting at our dinner table, my hands went cold. I'm Marcus, 35, and I'd been engaged to Tessa for 8 months. We'd been together for 4 years before that, and I thought I knew her completely. We met at a friend's wedding, bonded over mutual hatred of the DJ's music choices, and built what I believed was a solid, honest relationship. The apartment we shared was in my name. I'd owned it for years before she moved in. But it had become our home. Her decorating choices, her coffee maker in the kitchen, her books on every shelf. The message came on a Tuesday afternoon while I was in a meeting. Unknown number, but it included context that made it clear this person knew details about my life. This is Rachel from Tessa's office. I know this is random, but you deserve to know she's not being faithful. I'm sorry to be the one to tell you. I stared at the message for a solid 5 minutes before responding. My first instinct was to dismiss it. Some jealous coworker, some misunderstanding. But something about the directness of it felt real. I typed back, appreciate the honesty. Can you give me more details? The response came quickly. I don't feel comfortable putting it all in writing. But pay attention to her Thursday late meetings. They're not all work-related. I'm really sorry. Thursday was tomorrow. Tessa had mentioned she had a late client meeting, wouldn't be home until 8 or 9. She'd been having a lot of late meetings recently, probably once a week for the past 2 months. I'd thought she was just busy with a new project. I didn't confront Tessa that night. I came home, made dinner, acted completely normal. She was on her laptop at the dining table, working on something that apparently couldn't wait. When I asked about her day, she gave vague answers without looking up. Nothing unusual there. She'd been distracted lately. Wednesday, I told my boss I needed to leave early Thursday for a dentist appointment. He approved it without question. I spent the day feeling sick to my stomach, running through scenarios. Maybe Rachel was wrong. Maybe there was a reasonable explanation. But deep down, I knew. You know when you know. Thursday afternoon at 4 p.m., I left the office. Texted Tessa that I'd be working late myself, wouldn't be home until 9. She responded with a simple okay and a heart emoji. That emoji felt like a knife. I got home at 5:30. My hands were shaking as I parked in my usual spot. I sat in my car for 10 minutes, just breathing, preparing myself for whatever I was about to find. Part of me hoped I'd walk into an empty apartment, that Rachel had been wrong, that Tessa was actually at work, that this was all a misunderstanding I'd laugh about later. I unlocked the front door as quietly as possible. I could hear voices before I even stepped inside. Tessa's laugh, that specific laugh she had when she was being flirty, and a male voice responding, deep and unfamiliar. I pushed the door open fully and walked into my own apartment like a stranger. They were at the dining table. The same table where Tessa and I ate breakfast every morning, where we'd planned our wedding, where we'd spent countless evenings just talking. She was wearing a dress I'd never seen before. Red, fitted, nothing like her usual work attire. Wine glasses on the table, 2 plates of pasta, candles. She'd cooked. She never cooked for me anymore. Always said she was too tired after work. But here she was, having what looked like a romantic dinner with someone who definitely wasn't me. The man was maybe late 30s, good-looking in that generic way, wearing a blazer and jeans. He saw me first. His face went pale. Tessa followed his gaze and her mouth actually dropped open. Marcus. Her voice came out as barely a whisper. You're supposed to be at work. Clearly. I stayed by the door, keys still in my hand. And you're supposed to be at a client meeting. The man stood up awkwardly. I should go. No, I said calmly. Stay. Please. I'd like to know who's having dinner in my apartment. He looked at Tessa, who looked at me, who looked back at him. Mexican standoff with pasta. This is Ryan, Tessa said finally. From my office. The Thursday night meetings, I said. It wasn't a question. She started to say something, stopped, started again. It's not what it looks like. I laughed. Actually laughed. What does it look like? Because from where I'm standing, it looks like my fiancé is having a romantic dinner with another man while I'm supposedly at work. But please, tell me what it actually is. We're just friends, Ryan said. Brave man or stupid. We work together. Friends who have romantic dinners with candles? In my apartment? While I'm not home? Marcus, please. Tessa stood up now too. Can we talk about this privately? Why? Is there something you don't want Ryan to hear? Some part of this that would embarrass you in front of your work friend? I'm going to leave, Ryan said, grabbing his jacket from the back of the chair. Yeah, that's probably smart, I said, stepping aside to let him pass. He left without looking at either of us. The door closed behind him and suddenly it was just Tessa and me and the ruins of whatever we'd been. How long? I asked. Marcus. How long, Tessa? She wrapped her arms around herself. 3 months. 3 months. And these Thursday meetings? Most of them were real meetings. Just not all of them. How many? I don't know. 5, maybe 6 times. You don't know. You don't know how many times you've cheated on me. We haven't slept together, she said quickly. I swear. We've just been spending time together. Talking. Having dinner. Oh, well, as long as you haven't slept with him. That makes it fine then. That's not what I meant. What did you mean? What exactly is your definition of cheating? Because mine includes secret romantic dinners with other men in our home while lying about where you are. She started crying. I felt nothing. That's what surprised me most. The complete absence of emotion. I'd expected rage or heartbreak. Instead, I just felt cold and tired. I don't know what happened, she said through tears. I don't know how it got this far. He was just nice to me, and we started having lunch, and then it became more, and I couldn't stop. You couldn't stop, or you didn't want to stop? She didn't answer. Get out, I said quietly. What? Get out of my apartment. Tonight. Pack your stuff and leave. Marcus, please. We need to talk about this. We can work through this. There's nothing to work through. You made a choice. You made it repeatedly for 3 months. You brought him here, to our home, and had romantic dinners while I was working. You don't get to call that a mistake and ask for forgiveness. Where am I supposed to go? I don't know. Ryan's place maybe. Or a hotel. Or hell for all I care. But you're not staying here tonight. This is my home too. No, it's not. It's my apartment. Your name isn't on the lease. You don't pay rent. You're a guest who's overstayed her welcome. That's not fair. Fair? You want to talk about fair? I came home early because someone from your office messaged me to tell me you were cheating. I walked into my own home to find you having a date with another man. But please, explain to me what's fair about this situation. She sank back into her chair, crying harder now. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I know you are. You're sorry you got caught. Big difference. Update 1. Tessa packed a bag that night, crying the entire time. She tried to talk to me multiple times. I sat on the couch, scrolling through my phone, not engaging. Every time she started to speak, I just held up my hand. I had nothing to say to her. She left around 9 p.m., slammed the door on her way out. I sat in the silent apartment for a while, then poured the wine she'd opened down the sink and threw away the pasta. Scrubbed the table like I could erase what happened. I messaged Rachel. Thank you for telling me. You were right. She responded almost immediately. I'm so sorry. For what it's worth, most of us at the office thought what she was doing was wrong. Ryan's married too. That hit me like a truck. He's married? Yeah. His wife works in a different department. She doesn't know yet, So Tessa hadn't just been cheating on me. She'd been helping someone else cheat on his wife. Great. Friday morning, I woke up to 17 missed calls from Tessa and a dozen texts ranging from apologetic to angry. I blocked her number, spent the day boxing up her stuff, clothes, books, toiletries, everything. Called her sister and told her to pick it up tomorrow. Tessa's sister Kim showed up Saturday morning with a U-Haul. She looked at me like I was a monster. You're really doing this? You're throwing away 4 years over one mistake? 3 months of mistakes, I corrected. And yes, I really am. The boxes are in the bedroom. She loves you, Marcus. She's devastated. She should have thought of that before having romantic dinners with a married coworker in my apartment. Kim loaded the boxes in silence. Before she left, she turned to me. You're making a mistake. You'll regret this. Maybe. But I doubt it. Update 2. The wedding was supposed to be in 6 months. I called the venue Monday morning and canceled everything. Lost the deposit, $15,000, but I didn't care. Called the caterer, the photographer, the DJ, canceled it all. Each cancellation felt like removing a weight from my chest. My mom called Tuesday. Marcus, Kim called me. She said you and Tessa broke up. Is this true? I explained everything. My mom listened without interrupting. Oh, honey, I'm so sorry. I'm okay, Mom. Really? Are you sure you don't want to try to work it out? Maybe couples counseling? No, I'm done. She brought another man into our home, Mom. That's not something I can forgive. I understand. I just want you to be sure. I've never been more sure of anything. Tessa tried contacting me through friends, through social media, through email. I blocked everything. 2 weeks after I kicked her out, she showed up at my apartment building. The doorman called up to ask if I wanted to see her. I said no. She apparently stood in the lobby crying for 20 minutes before security escorted her out. I found out from Rachel that Ryan's wife had discovered the affair too. Apparently Ryan had confessed everything after I confronted them, trying to get ahead of it. His wife had kicked him out. He was staying with a friend and they were heading for divorce. 3 weeks after everything fell apart, I got a letter from Tessa, handwritten, 6 pages long. It was waiting in my mailbox when I got home from work. I read it once, standing there in the lobby of my building. She explained everything, how she'd felt neglected, how I'd been working too much, how Ryan had paid attention to her in ways I hadn't, how she never meant for it to go so far, how she loved me, how she was in therapy now trying to understand why she'd self-sabotaged, how she'd broken off all contact with Ryan, how he meant nothing compared to me, how she'd do anything for another chance. I read it all. Then I tore it up and threw it away. Update 3. A month after the breakup, I went out with some friends for the first time. They'd been calling and texting, checking in, but I'd been avoiding social situations. That Friday night, I finally said yes to drinks. At the bar, I ran into Rachel. She was with some colleagues from Tessa's office. We talked for a bit. She apologized again for being the one to tell me, said she'd struggled with whether it was her place. You did the right thing, I told her. I just wish someone had told me sooner. A few of us knew something was going on, but we didn't have proof. And you know how office politics are. Nobody wants to get involved. But that Thursday, I saw them leave together for lunch and not come back for 3 hours. I couldn't stay quiet anymore. Well, I appreciate it. Really. We talked for a while longer. She was smart, funny, easy to talk to. When she mentioned she was single, I felt a small flicker of interest for the first time in weeks. But I wasn't ready for that. Not yet. Can I get your number? I asked. As a friend. Someone to grab coffee with sometimes. She smiled. I'd like that. 2 months after the breakup, Tessa's mom called me. I'd forgotten to block her number. Marcus, I know you probably don't want to hear from me. But Tessa's not doing well. She's depressed, barely eating. She made a terrible mistake, but she's suffering for it. Can't you find it in your heart to at least talk to her? Mrs. Hayes, I sympathize with what Tessa's going through. I really do. But no, I can't talk to her. She destroyed our relationship and our trust. That's not something I can just forgive because she's sad about the consequences. She's trying to change. She's in therapy. She's working on herself. That's good. She should work on herself, but she should do it for her next relationship, not for us. There is no us anymore. You're being cruel. I'm being honest. If you think that's cruel, that's your choice. But I'm not the one who cheated. I'm just the one who refused to be a doormat about it. She hung up without saying goodbye. Final update. It's been 4 months now. I'm doing better than I expected. The apartment doesn't feel haunted anymore. I redecorated a bit, moved furniture around, made it feel like mine again instead of ours. Rachel and I have been on a few dates. Nothing serious yet, we're both taking it slow. But she's good company, and there's something refreshing about being with someone who was honest with me even when it was uncomfortable. Trust is built on honesty, even when that honesty hurts. I heard through mutual friends that Tessa's dating again, some guy from a different company. Good for her, genuinely. I hope she's learned something from all this. I hope she's honest with him. I've learned some things too. I learned that sometimes the person you trust most is the person who will hurt you most. I learned that coming home early sometimes saves you from wasting more years on the wrong person. And I learned that some betrayals are unforgivable, no matter how many tears and apologies follow. People keep asking me if I regret not trying to work it out, if I think I gave up too easily. The answer is no. She didn't have one moment of weakness. She had months of calculated decisions. Every Thursday for 3 months, she chose him over me. She cooked for him in our home. She lied to my face repeatedly. That's not a mistake. That's a pattern. And I refuse to reward that pattern with forgiveness. The funniest thing is the dinner table. I got rid of it, bought a new one. Different style, different size. The old one had too many memories, both good and bad. Sometimes starting over means replacing the furniture along with the relationship. My mom still asks occasionally if I've heard from Tessa. I tell her the truth. I wouldn't know if I had. She's blocked on everything, and I have no intention of unblocking her. Some doors, once closed, should stay closed. My brother asked me last week if I'm angry, if I still think about it. The truth is, I don't think about it much anymore. When I do, I feel more relief than anger. Relief that I found out when I did. Relief that I didn't marry her. Relief that I had the self-respect to walk away. That Tuesday message from Rachel was the best thing that could have happened to me. It hurt like hell, but it saved me from a much bigger hurt down the road. Imagine finding out after we were married, after we had kids, after I'd tangled my entire life up with someone who could lie to my face every week for months. I dodged a bullet, and yeah, it left a scar. But scars heal. Marriages to cheaters don't. Edit. For those asking why I didn't try couples therapy, what would we work on? Her lying to me for 3 months? Her bringing her affair partner into my home? Her helping a married man cheat on his wife? Some things aren't fixable with therapy. Some things are just deal breakers. Edit 2. Yes, Ryan's wife divorced him. I heard she got a good settlement since he'd been using marital funds to take Tessa out to fancy restaurants, play stupid games, win stupid prizes. Edit 3. To the people saying I was too harsh, that I should have heard her out, given her a chance to explain. I did hear her out. She explained that she'd been emotionally cheating for 3 months, that she'd had multiple romantic dinners with him, that she'd brought him into our home while lying about where she was. That explanation was all I needed to hear.